Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Welcome.
Do you know who I am?
Who the hell are you?
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
Just what is it that you want to do?
We want to get loaded, and we want to have a good time.
Okay, let's party.
Let me talk to you.
I'm building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Now here's the other Alliance guys, Tim, Jeremy, and Dave.
Hello. Good morning, good evening, and afternoon, as our co-host and pod would say. As you can see, he is not here today. I will give a brief explanation as he posted on Twitter. In protest over the NWA's attitude to non-American fans and our inability to watch the CW, I'm taking a knee this week and won't be making any NWA fan content. Dave Scooby and I, of the other Alliance guys, will soldier on with Major League Wrestling talk, NWA fantasy booking from the brain Dave Scooby, and more. And in solidarity, we stand with Alliance Go, Tim Wood, Timmy Thunder.
Yep.
How are you today, Dave?
I'm doing well. It's finally got warm enough that some of the snow is melting. So
there you go.
It's winter, but it's not fully winter. I can see the streets.
That's always good.
Yeah.
Seeing the streets is very important. Let's see. Let's go to the chat real quick and see who we've got in here. I want to say a shout out to New and Co, Fee, Reluca, Sean Mega, Sam Retro, Timmy Thunder, Willie Bowen, Vemos Lucha Libre. I probably screwed up that first word, but oh well. And Media Mike. Thank you all for joining us today. We've got an exciting show for you. We will be talking about, let me get to that screen real quick on my format. We're professionals, you know. This episode, we will be touching on NWA Paranoia, January 13th, Major League Wrestling cards from Reload and the upcoming Super Fight, power highlights and lowlights, which we didn't have any.
Yep.
Championship wrestling for me, it'll be very short. And I respect you, Book a Man with the brain, Dave Scooby. Let's jump right into this round table, and he's got us set up with NWA Paranoia, January the 13th. NWA and CCW Viva Revolution and the NWA TV Tampa tapings on January the 14th completed, and then we have the KFW event January 26th and Hard Times coming in March.
Yep.
The KFW, that's Pages, right?
Crossfire.
McKenzie's? Yeah. That'll be a fun one. Are we going to get them as a territory now, you think?
I'm not sure. Because the girls have taken over the promotion from their parents. And
Right.
while good, I'd like to see them, if they're not a territory, at least partner up maybe with JCP, since they're all within like I believe at least a 75 to 100 mile radius of each other.
Right.
So if they can bounce back and forth or every other month have a talent share where storylines can go from one to another and then also be told, hopefully on NWA programming if it goes that far. But like I had talked on the pre-party.
Yeah.
Jay had Paul on the pre-party, Pollo, and I was making mention of possibly the NWA doing a control center type thing. That if you remember WWF back in the day,
yes,
would have, I think, Sean Mooney do stuff like, hey, I'm here in the control center. Here's what's happening, this and this. Well, you could say, here's some upcoming shows featuring talent.
Yeah.
Here's little blurbs of, hey, Colby Carino was out defending this past weekend. Here's him in action, and show 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
So you do that. You have rankings of who your current champions are, and then you wouldn't have to do who the top 5 contenders are, but you could do maybe, hey, the top 2 contenders for the women's tag belts are the King Bees and Missa Kate and whoever.
Right.
That it's something that could be done. And I mean, it wouldn't have to be long. You could probably do it in 5 to 7 minutes. But that would be extra programming that could be put on the NWA channel or just sent out on the social media.
Yeah. I like that idea.
That they just do that. And I mean, I would do that on a regular basis going on if they did something like that, even if it was every other week. But you need to let people know by any means necessary, whether it be on social media, whether it be on a YouTube channel, whether it just be, hey, sending out a text message. That, I mean, back in the day when texting first became popular, they used to do text blast. I worked for nightclubs.
Yeah.
We'd have people come in, and sometimes you'd sign up, and if you sign up for our text messaging, you'd get in free that night. Well, then we have your email address and your phone number, and we could say, hey, I worked for a country bar. We've got, just throwing a name out there, Jason Aldean is going to be in concert. If you bring a ticket stub, you get in free after the show.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that you do blast and just send out something that when you sign up. Right now, we don't have to sign up. When we had Fight TV, you paid for that and you signed in, and I'd get text messages.
Yeah.
From Fight and from NWA. So why not do something like that with the CW and just send out, hey, for more info, click this link, and it goes and it tells you what's the upcoming shows, what's the upcoming signature live event coming up in the first week of March, what's possibly going to be coming up. Hey, if they want to say, we're going to do a live pay-per-view, which would you rather see, Crockett Cup or the anniversary show? And then have people vote. That's how you engage with your audience.
Yeah.
And it's just, they've got to do something, because what they're doing is basically pissing off the hardcore audience that likes what they see.
Yeah, definitely. And it's with so many different avenues now. Like you said, there's the YouTube, there's Twitter, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. There's so many different avenues now that they could, like you said, do a blast type thing where here's a couple minute clip and we're attaching X amount of people's name onto it and sending it out. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it gets disseminated even more.
Yep. Because you always want to share something. If it's cool, hey, let me share this with however many people, and you just click share, requote, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And then let's see. We also had Rekka Tahaka, Nick Eugene, Densmore, and the King Bees were at the tapings. Now, Densmore being at the tapings, that's an interesting one.
And I didn't get a chance to look online, but last I remember hearing, he had a promotion that he was running. But even if he's not running a promotion, he's another pipeline that if he knows of somebody or if he thinks they'll do good in the surroundings. I mean, you've got Dr. Tom. You've got all these people that have had careers. There's a reason they are where they are. Dr. may not, quote unquote, be looked upon as one of the best wrestlers, but the people he's trained, it's a laundry list, and I mean it's a mile long.
At least that's a country mile.
Yeah, and I mean, for what Eugene as a wrestler did, I liked it up to a certain point, but then when they started playing it too corny, I'm like, no. But for a guy to be able to wrestle that way
and be able to mimic so many different styles.
I mean, he can look at somebody and he should know, yeah, I can work with them. They have a possible future, or okay, it's cool if they want to learn how to wrestle, but I don't see them going past a certain point.
Densmore is one of those that everybody that you hear talk about him you hear the same thing over and over. One of the smartest minds to the business and in the business, and like you said, can just look at guys and be like, yeah, this guy can work. I can work this guy. We can work. We can do business together. That's a very rare thing to have in any line of work, but especially wrestling. There's a handful of people that have that ability, and he is definitely one of them. He showed up not too long ago in Memphis. He was in the Grind City Rumble and still out there getting it done. I was happy to see him out there, and it looked good.
He can still go. He doesn't have to be a full-time wrestler.
No.
And it's up to him whether he plays that character or he is Nick Dinsmore, the wrestler. Because if you go online and just type in Nick Dinsmore OVW, some of the matches you'll see him having, him is just a regular wrestler with no quote unquote WWE, WWF gimmick attached to him. There's a reason he played that character and could mimic all those moves, because he's a great wrestler himself. So,
100%. And then Rekka Tahaka being there, that's a get. But then I also saw where she's maybe a little reckless in the ring as well, though. So hopefully working with some of the veterans in the NWA and they can steer in the right direction.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they'd be like, I know you're trying to impress, but slow down, take it easy. This is how we do things here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have no real personal connection with any of the wrestlers. I know who they are, and they've recognized me from being at all the different events.
Right.
And I'm just respectful towards them. But it's one of these things that they take care of their own.
Yeah.
And they'll either welcome somebody in, give them a chance. If things work out, cool. If things don't work out, maybe take a break and we'll see you next go around.
Yeah. Take a moment, reevaluate what you're doing, sit down and reflect, and maybe change a few things here and there. See how you do the next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then the King Bees being there, that's just good for the women's tag division all the way around.
And I mean, I don't know how the tapings actually went, But I'm hoping that if they're going to bring in a team, at least have a couple matches with some other teams, even if they're thrown together, to highlight them.
Yeah.
That if this is a team that you're going to push at least for a little while and go against your tag champions, give them 1 or 2 wins as a tag team to build them up. That they could have gone against Miss Star and Chelsea could have eaten the pin, and it really wouldn't hurt because she's new to the business, and it would fit the character of her being the underling to Samantha Starr.
Exactly.
So it all tells a story, and just little bits here and there can help somebody go a long way.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And then we've got, let's see, Danny Limelight at 400 days. Danny Limelight, friend of the podcast, friend of the Alliance. I'm happy to say that he has been our United Wrestling Network champion for 400 days now. I'm looking forward to the footage that the UWN puts out, hopefully within the next 2-3 weeks tops.
It'd be nice to see some new fresh matchups and even some new wrestlers. I know he's also keeping busy doing stunt work and also film work. So he's got a full plate. But I mean, he's held that belt, and whether it be the bodega, if they still want to hang together, or if they end up fighting each other. Sometimes the best fights are amongst friends or close acquaintances.
And Slice Boogie still has a #1 contender shot. So
I mean, Boogie can go, and I'm hoping he finds his footing after all the troubles he's been through.
Right.
Footing back at UWN and hopefully gets a run with the belt or a belt.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to see Danny Limelight lose the United Wrestling World title. But I don't want to see Slice Boogie go without gold either.
Yeah.
So if it's not the world title, there's the TV title, there's the Heritage title.
Yep.
He could pair up with Papo and they could go after the tag titles.
Yep.
Daniel R. Hill from United Wrestling let me know that storylines are being continued and new storylines are taking off on that. So I'm excited for the next coming month of content that we're going to get from the NWA and from UWN.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I want to go to the chat real quick. And let's see. There was Sean Mega. Sean Mega says the CW sells its shows overseas. I wonder, do the NWA fall into that category? I would think that probably lent more to shows like that fell into the Arrowverse and with like Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, Supernatural, more of their actor-driven shows. I'm not sure either, though. The NWA may fall into that, but nothing was said about international rights on that.
Mm-hmm. And I do believe that CW is going more sports-oriented programming over the next year. That CW, I believe, is part of CBS and Warner Brothers.
Yes.
So they've divested, and CW is now just CW. I'm not sure who owns them now, but from the trades, it looks like they're going more sports oriented and reality based TV.
Yeah.
So however they decide to do it, whether it be on the app or on the regular network, we'll see where they go. But I mean, people have been talking and they're like, oh, well, they could have been on CW. Well, CW, the app is CW. It's just you can watch anytime. Whereas on TV, there's specific times that there's shows that are on.
Right.
WoW is on in different markets, sometimes at 11 at night, sometimes at 2 in the morning, sometimes they're maybe on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
But when you can go on an app and watch it whenever, that's fine. I mean, people are like, oh, well, WWE is going to be going to Netflix. Well, Netflix is an app.
Yeah.
You don't tune into Netflix at 7 o'clock to watch a certain TV show or movie. You go on, you pick what you want to watch, and you watch it. It's an app.
Right.
It's also, Netflix is also a network.
Mm-hmm.
So everything runs through that. That TV is basically a big computer screen now.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can go on. I mean, I don't have cable. I have YouTube TV. There's about 100 channels on it. And if there's ones on it that you don't have, you can pay extra for it. But I pay roughly about $75 a month. And it's a hell of a lot cheaper than cable, which has 500 channels. And I may not even watch 50 of them.
And that's if you get those 500 channels with the package.
Yeah.
You know, that's the downside to cable is
so
everything's tiered off.
Like I watch a lot of history, the History Channel.
Yeah.
Well, it's not on YouTube, but guess what? History Channel has an app.
Yep.
So I download it, paid my little extra for that, and I'm happy to watch my shows, my reruns, whenever I want. I can watch them on TV. I can watch them on my computer at work. I can watch them on my phone. You're covered everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to touch on the, since we're talking about the NWA being on the CW, I do want to touch on the NWA not reaching the international market and going back to Tim's initial tweet as to why he wasn't going to be on here today. We had some interesting responses.
Yep.
Polka Dot Pam, friend of the Alliance, says, "I love a good protest." Who doesn't? Let's see here. We had J. Cal said that we stand with the Alliance Gold. B. Dodi Kusumato and fan NWA. I'm unaware of, or NWA wrestling fan. Okay. Yeah.
Roscoe, down under.
Yeah. Okay. And all of our international brothers and sisters who are unable to view the CW app and will miss the debut of NWA on February the 6th. Hashtag NWA fam, hashtag we are the Alliance. He also had a response from the one and only, our former, and still to me, let's go champ, Camille.
Yep.
Chimed in. And this is the second time that she's chimed in on a Twitter conversation addressing this issue. And she stated, more of y'all need to band together for answers and for someone to take accountability. To which J. Cal responded, "Oh, we're trying." Which Camille responded to, "Very sad. If y'all stop supporting, there will be virtually no fans left." This is a former world champion, people.
Yep.
She was privy to a little bit more information than your average talent there. It just, you're the champ. You get a little bit more information. That's just how these things play out. And which you responded to with, I grew up with the NWA. While it's definitely not the same, it's something I enjoy most of the time. Unfortunately, it always seems to be one step forward and two steps back, and that is so true. I'm hoping the NWA finds a solution for all the international NWA fan to legally watch Power, because at the end of the day, if you're utilizing a VPN, which has been suggested by people with the NWA, you're kind of doing shit illegal.
Yep.
No one wants to do anything illegal. No one wants to pay for a service to watch something that you are offering for free either.
Yep, definitely. I mean, how would Billy feel if I have access to Smashing Pumpkin songs and just decided to start posting them online? Hey, if you want any Smashing Pumpkin songs, you can download them here.
Yeah. Billy was one of those pushing for the shutdown of Napster.
Yep. And I mean, it's one of these things that things weren't thought all the way through. They were going for instant gratification of, we've got this.
Got a shiny toy.
I mean, while I will say I'm glad that they did get hooked up with CW, it's one of those things that they just they have to look at the whole picture.
Yeah. And going to Fee's tweet, she put out, so disappointed with NWA tonight. Use a VPN isn't the response I was expecting on how non-USA fans can view the new season of NWA Power. It's like they got so excited about a TV deal, they forgot about a whole chunk of the fans.
Yep.
The United States is not that big, people. We know this. There are fans outside of the United States that truly support this a lot harder than is realized. Fiona has came over here, has flown from Scotland to it was Memphis, right? Or Nashville?
Nashville.
Nashville. Yep. And stayed for the tapings as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a person that pays international shipping. The shipping prices through the NWA shop just for American shipping is not expensive, but there's still a shipping charge.
Yep.
And she's paying international shipping, NWA. Get your fucking head out your ass.
Yep.
But she got a response. Let's see. AJ Kazana responded, to be fair, we should all probably be using VPNs for everything online, mostly to protect your privacy, but it does a lot. There's truth to that, and there's value to that statement. But then it was responded, let's see here. B responded that, but why should I have to pay to buy a VPN to watch you wrestle because I don't live in the United States? To which he responded, I'm assuming people in international countries pay for cable or satellite, streaming service, and such. I'm sure they pay for pay-per-views for UFC, MMA, pro wrestling at unnecessary amounts. I'm not saying anyone is wrong in their opinions, but that'd be a way of justifying it. Again, utilizing a VPN to watch something that isn't available in your area is a form of piracy.
Yep.
You're advocating piracy, dude. Stick to wrestling. Stick to graps. But that also got a response from Camille. His first initial tweet of, to be fair, Camille responded, I have no problem with you, AJ, but are you really trying to justify how they have responded to people that are trying to support the product? It's been handled terribly, and it so has. I have so much more I wish I could say. But I truly feel awful for these people that are just trying to watch. AJ responded, well, I was more talking about protecting people's privacy and personal information from websites, business, governments, and black market dealers that lurk the internet. Come on, man.
Potato, potato.
To which Camille responded, but that's not the issue Fee was referring to at all. She's concerned with how she can view a show she has been consistently supportive of, while the rest of the world shit on it. And they were.
Yep.
There aren't many fans left. The ones that are should be treated like gold. Facts. Facts.
Definitely.
Facts. Fee responded with, I've had Netflix for years, but I haven't watched WWE because I had to pay extra. Buzzing to see it live again in 2025. Same here, Fee. Same here. My main issue is the complete lack of regard to the international fan base because there's a new toy to play with, and that's all that's been focused on. AJ responded with, which is completely fair. The VPN answer is a short-term fix. But there are people working to figure out the issue prior to February the 6th. With all new things, there are bound to be hiccups. To which Camille responded with, then communicate. That's the entire issue here. What are you not understanding? These people's voices have been completely disregarded. Hell, NWA turned off comments the other day on a post because they didn't want to deal with it. Nonsense. Pulling a Jericho, turning off comments. Come on, man.
I mean, if you're not willing to take criticism, don't put it out there then.
Can't take the heat, get the fuck out the kitchen is what I was always told.
You know I work with music all the time.
Yes.
And unless you have a way to play a video or play an MP3, they're useless.
Yep.
So it's one of those things that people can bitch and moan all they want about back in the day of, Napster, and they ripped this and they ripped that. Granted, the artist wasn't getting the money, but if you look at what Spotify is doing and streaming, there's artists that have hundreds and thousands, even up to millions of plays of a song or an album, and they're getting not even pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
A 0.0001 of a cent.
Yeah.
On that. I mean, Snoop Dogg, I got $7,000. I got a check from Spotify for $7,000 for over 1 million plays. Really?
Yeah.
It's one of these things that I'm almost afraid to get rid of all my old CDs because who knows? I still have an old boombox that has a cassette player and a CD player on it so I can listen to my old music because there's some stuff that hasn't been ripped or converted over to MP3 or MP4 style, so you can't play it. And literally, when I first started my job, that was one of my jobs, was to take CDs and rip every song, put all the information on that CD, from that CD onto the MP3 track. But it's one of these things that if they're not going to be able to have an international audience, they need to find a way to do something to accommodate them, whether it be like the YouTube restrictions. Put it back on CW. Hey, we signed with you guys. Can you at least show our episode that goes on Tuesday at 6 a.m. because it's on an app. It just gets dropped.
Right.
It's like Netflix, except it's not the whole season. It's one episode per week. So if they drop it on there, maybe 24 hours later to accommodate international fans of the NWA, if it could be 12 hours later, that'd be even better.
Right.
Put it on a YouTube channel, put it on the NWA channel, and then set restrictions that nobody within the United States can watch it. And you just go down and check, a checklist, and you mark what countries you want it available in. It could be either that on the NWA channel or put it on the CW. They have a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just make it available or think outside the box and go, what can we do? Can CW come up with an app that is an international app? Who knows? I mean, I don't know much about apps, but thinking about it, you would take everything that you have for the CW app for the US and just transfer that over and make that available internationally and not locally, which would be the United States region.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's up to them. That the NWA should have asked questions earlier, but we weren't there. We don't know if they did or didn't. And if they did, they were either not given the correct answers or they just went with the flow and were happy to go, okay, we'll deal with the United States first, and then we'll worry about international once we get started.
And Matthew Underwood agrees with you. The CW YouTube channel is the answer, and I feel that is the answer to it. Is for them to put it on their YouTube channel. Since if they're, I don't know if Billy's got this new contract and he's just not. They came so close. There may have been some actual truth to the CW being pissed off at him about the cocaine spot, and he's just not wanting to ruffle any more feathers, or
yeah,
I don't know, but it definitely needs to be fixed. It definitely needs to be worked out and figured out sooner rather than later. The longer that you go without your international fans being able to view your product, the more likely they are to turn to a different source and find a new product to hold their attention.
And
we saw that with the shutdown during the pandemic.
Yep.
Crowd came back and it was at least half of what used to be.
Well, I don't know if anybody, if you or anybody in the chat watches Impact, TNA Wrestling now.
Yep.
They're on Access TV, which a lot of people don't get.
But I pay 99 cents and I get to watch it every Thursday night.
Yep.
On YouTube.
Same here.
And I get to chat.
I would hate to have them pay, but I mean, we were paying for Fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fight.
And with the Impact, the TNA Impact with TNA, like I said, I pay 99 cents to YouTube once a month, and I get access to the episode as soon as it goes live. I have access to live chat. I have all these cool little emojis that I can use that are TNA related. If I wanted to pay, I think it's $4.99 a month, I would get access to the prior month's pay-per-view and a couple additional content. And then there's also you can get through the Fight app. You can get I think it's through Fight. You can get sign up for it's like an honor club type thing, but it's for TNA. And I believe it for $250 a year, you get access to everything that they have,
and
which isn't bad.
It's one of these things that you have to look and say, okay, is it worthwhile to spend some money on something? If it's reasonable, yeah. I mean, when Fight was doing their $50 a year thing, cool, dollar a week, I'll pay for that.
Yeah.
But then you look nationwide, the United States is so different in different areas.
Yeah.
But then you look worldwide and go, okay, well, in the United States, if you have insurance, it's up to you have a deductible. Whereas in like Canada, medical is taken care of. So there's certain things that, depending in what area you live in the world, some things you have to pay for, some things are awarded you.
Yeah.
But it's one of these things that if they want the international viewer, they need to do something to make it accessible. And I hate to say make them pay, but if they do end up having to pay, make it as reasonable a price as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason TNA is doing 99 cents.
Yep.
They're making some money, but it's covering some costs. But they're getting viewers that don't have access to Access TV.
There was, I want to say, probably about 2,000 to 3,000 people in the chat last Thursday night for TNA. And that's, you don't get the chat. You don't even get the show if you haven't paid at least the 99 cents. So
yeah,
that's $3,000 right there. $2,000 to $3,000 for the month right there. You know, and we get and with that 99 cents, you get access to the pre-show. I think that was, Mike put that up. You get the pre-show for Impact, and then I got then I was able to I know a guy that helped me out with watching the actual pay-per-view. Moving forward, I'm going to be investing my dollars for the next upcoming TNA pay-per-views, though. I'm not going to go through nefarious means. I'm going to give them my money because I enjoyed what I saw.
Support what you like. Yep.
That's right. You know, but I'm not going to support what I like through nefarious means.
Yep.
I don't want to do that, like VPNs or websites that stream shows that aren't Netflix or CW. I don't want to go through that route.
Yep.
I'm an honest man. I work for my money. I want to spend my money on stuff that I like.
Yeah.
So pull your head out of your ass, NWA. Come on, be better. I think that's enough talk on that, though.
Okay. Sounds good. Get riled up, and I'm like, okay, gotta calm down.
Deep breath. Woo-saw.
Yep.
Ah. Hi, Skeletor. You do not live the life dangerously, Skeletor. But anyways, let's see what we got here on this. On this, we've got the MLW Super Fight. There's only 3 matches so far. Let's see. The World Middleweight title match has been announced for MLW Super Fight 2024 Major League Wrestling. This is from eWrestlingNews.com. James H. Jackson, friend of the Alliance. Go follow him on Twitter at James H. Jackson Jr.
Yep.
Great source of information. The guy loads up my DMs with all kinds of information from all over the wrestling universe, not just the NWA or MLW, but a little bit of everything. That man has his finger in so many wrestling pies. Good Lord, he ain't got no fingers left. He turned me on to a good one, Sukeban. It's Joshi wrestling, and it's all character gimmick based. They have little factions and stables. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. But let's see. Major League Wrestling has announced the MLW World Middleweight Champion Rocky Romero versus Ichiban.
Oh, yeah. Number one. That's going to be a hell of a match. And I believe it's, what is it, a 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah. That's
just, I'm looking at least a 15, 20-minute match, if not longer. And both guys can go. Plus, Serena De La Renta is going to be there. So I'm looking for somebody to try some sneaky stuff, whether it be Jesus Rodriguez or someone else that's part of the little clique. But that's going to be a hell of a match. I'm trying to think. Fatu and Nagata.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hell of a match too. That'll be I'm heading up there, so I'm going to go hit the superstore before there's a wrestling store that has all sorts of wrestling paraphernalia and collectibles. So I'm going to go up early, check that out, and then go watch Super Fight that night.
There you go. That's the way to do it right there. Me and buddy at work, Jose, were just talking about that store. That would be one of those that I would walk in with a duffel bag full of cash and walk out broke, but have so much fucking wrestling merch. It would be insane. Also, for the super card fight, we have the World Heavyweight title fight with Alex Kane, our champion. Boomaye! Yep. It's for the people. Wu-Tang's for the children. Versus Satoshi Kojima. Kojima! He loves bread.
Yeah, Mr. Bread right there.
I am Bread Adam.
The crowd went nuts. I mean, he was throwing bagels and all sorts of bread out. It was crazy, but it's one of these things that MLW is smart in bringing in former champions, and they're bringing in New Japan, they're bringing in CMLL, they're bringing in Yoshi. While you may not know everything about them, it's such a variety. And I mean, it's one of the former champions that is going against the current champion. So if Alex Kane ends up defeating a former champion, that raises his stock. Kojima isn't losing anything if he does lose the match.
I look at MLW kind of like a contagious virus. And the fact that you get introduced to so many different talents from so many different promotions that you're almost compelled to go out, and because the quality of match that MLW puts out with the talents that they bring in.
Yeah.
You almost have to go and search out their other stuff, which exposes you to that much more talent and that many more different promotions. And then it just keeps growing. And the next thing you know, you just infected yourself with all of this just really good, wholesome, solid wrestling. You know, that I think that's what I love about about MLW more than anything is like you said, they bring in so many different talents from so many different areas. And if you are a wrestling fan and you see one of those talents that you like, you're going to go check out their other stuff, which is going to expose you to that much more. You know, I love it. We also have a CMLL Lucha Libre Showcase Espectacular. Man, I butchered that. We also have Mystico versus Averno, presented by Selena De La Renta and Promociones Dorado.
Yep.
We have New Japan versus MLW. Yuji Nagata versus Jacob Fatu.
That's going to be a hell of a match.
And speaking of hell of a matches, and we've got Sami Callihan versus Akira in a deathmatch rules.
Yep.
And there you're going to actually get something very, very, very close and akin to an actual deathmatch.
Yeah. That's just, I mean, at the last event, and if you watched Reload, Callahan just he has it.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that even if you like what he does, you like to hate him.
Oh yeah.
And I mean,
such a smackable face
between him and Akira, who had the falling out with Ricky.
Yep.
And so he's your good guy, even though he doesn't play the good guy.
Right. Right.
He's a baby face by default.
Anti-hero.
Yeah. That's just going to be one hell of a match. I mean, it's both of those guys know how to wrestle, but they also don't give a shit once they're in the ring.
Right.
They want to give a good match for the people, and anything that they can do to do that. It's amazing.
I am not a death match guy. I just if nobody's going to actually die, it's false advertisement. But like I stated whenever I introduced this match, this is the closest thing. This is the closest match that you're going to get to somebody potentially dying is with Sami Callihan. I don't care what Matt Cardona calls himself, the Deathmatch King. That's all well and good and everything. I would snag that crown off of his head and put it firmly on Sammy's and then rivet it in, and he would enjoy that. Unfortunately, you know, he probably asked for another rivet just to secure it 110%. But then after that, we've got a hoss fight, and this is truly a hoss fight. Davey Boy Smith Jr., who comes in at God, that motherfucker's big.
Yep.
Versus the man with the best wrestling name, I don't care, one called Manders. To call that a hoss fight is, I feel, an understatement.
It's just going to be, I mean, as they say, slapping meat. That this is just, both of these guys know how to wrestle, but they'll get down and dirty if need be. Eye poke, eye gouge, hook the nose, whatever needs to be done. But I mean,
up a toe, kick a shin.
Yeah, it's Manders right now is a tag champ, the Second Gear Crew, him and Matthew Justice, but he's going it alone against Davey Boy, who is part of the WTF, the World Titan Federation, which is a Saint Laurent, and they're sports entertainers. So
yeah,
they know what to do. They know how to wrestle, but they're taking the WWE approach of We don't have to always get down and dirty. We play by our own rules. But it's one of these things of there always seems to be a faction or at least a partner that if you're in a singles match, you always have to look out for that other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, Manders, I'm sure Matthew Justice, he has a match that night, but I'm sure he'll be keeping his eye out, and maybe Good Brother number 3 will be there.
Yeah, because unfortunately, old Manser won't be able to be there.
Yep.
But Good Brother number 3, if you ain't got nobody else, Good Brother 3 is a good motherfucker to have in your corner. That's for sure.
Willing to do anything and everything for you.
That's right. Let's see. Media Mike says that Manders reminds me of Dax from FTR and Love Child with the Monopoly guy. What is said cannot be unseen now. Oh, man. And we have the BN Sports TV taping bouts. We'll have Filthy Tom Lawler promoted by St. Laurent versus Matthew Justice.
Yep.
There is also a special meet and greet for pre-order. Let's see. Tickets start at $15. Early entry for front row ticket holders at 5:30 p.m. Doors open for general public at 6. And the showtime is at 7.
Yep.
This is all going down
February 3rd.
February the 3rd.
Saturday.
2300 Arena.
EC Dub, yep.
If you're in the Philly area and you ain't got nothing else to do and you're looking for good wrestling, or if you just want to meet Dave Scooby.
Yep.
Take your ass to the 2300 Arena. He'll be good for you.
Every way, taking pictures and posting them.
There you go. I'll be looking for him too. Let's see here. We've done the round table thing. There wasn't any NWA power highlights or lowlights. Well, there were lowlights. There wasn't any. There wasn't a show. That was something we were talking about backstage, was the fact that we were under the impression that we were going to get retrospectives for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they could have just done a retrospective on, I mean, Camille being champion, and then the transition into who is it? Kenzie winning.
Yeah.
And over and being the NWA Women's Champion, the holder of the Burke. I mean, just those battles that both of those women had, I mean, it would have been a good thing.
Let's see here. Got the MLW Reload. Let's see. And here we go. The show opened with a Sessions by St. Laurent segment. His guest was MLW World Champion Alex Kane.
Yep.
Mr. St. Laurent talked about how he discovered Kane and got him signed to MLW in 2021, which Kane regretfully acknowledged. MSL said he has a bigger vision for Alex Kane, and that is to have the biggest merger in history by combining the World Titan Federation with the Boumaye Fight Club. The crowd was heavily booing the idea, and Kane said, "But you smell like ass and popcorn." To which MSL responded, "I do like popcorn." Did not dispute that he smelled like ass.
That's crazy.
Man. MSL takes out a contract from his jumpsuit, which he gives to Kane. Kane disgustingly wipes his hands as he looks at the contract. He throws the pin at MSL and rips the contract up as the crowd chants, "Boomayay!"
Yep.
Kane says this was built for the people, by the people, and that's on Boomayay. And then we jumped into the intro for the show. We go back to the arena, and Joe Dombrowski and Matt Stryker are on commentary. They go over the stat card for tonight. Introductions begin as the opening match of Zeta Steel with St. Laurent versus the Notorious Mimi.
Yep.
Steel tried to get a quick roll up to start the match, but Mimi kicked out. There was back and forth action throughout the match. Later in the match, Steel hits a high knee in the corner on Mimi. Steel rolls up Mimi and tries to use the bottom ring rope as leverage to gain the pinfall, but the ref saw this and broke up the count. As the ref and Steel argue, as Mimi makes a comeback, after initially missing, she hits a heaven set back kick. She pins Steel, but uses Steel's trunks to gain leverage for the pinfall, and the ref also saw that and broke up the count at 2. This time for Mimi cheating. Mimi goes back to the top turnbuckle, but still shakes the rope, causing Mimi to fall across. It still hits her "I'm prettier" finisher to pick up the 3 count and the win.
Yep.
What'd you think of that match?
It was a very good match. I mean, I see where they were going. They're wanting to build up Zeta and World Titan Federation. But it's one of these things. Notorious Mimi is a great wrestler as well. But it would have had more of a direct effect if they would have had a babyface wrestler. Both of them are basically pushed as heels.
Yeah.
And Mimi is a good wrestler. Having 2 heels fight, I mean, they were wrestling each other. It really did nothing. Well, I wouldn't say nothing, but it would have done more if Zeta would have gone against maybe Tiara James, who is a babyface 100%.
Yeah.
But while they were giving them a decent amount of time to wrestle, I see where they were going storyline wise. But I mean, as a opening bout, it was a good one. It got the crowd going, and when Saint Laurent is out there, he is a heat magnet. Whoever he's out there.
Isn't he though?
Yep.
The crowd absolutely hates him. To answer your question, Jay, I should be asking you that. You're the one that has direct line to Mr. Marquez, not me. When is the UWN Red Carpet Rumble, Jay? Let's see. After the match, Dombrowski attempts to interview Zeta Steel. St. Laurent interrupts him and says he should give a better and proper introduction. Dombrowski introduces Steel again the way MSL requested to, and then Steel takes the mic and talks about Court Bauer giving his favorites a title shot. What would be best for business would be giving her gold. MSL took the mic and says he does business with Selena De La Renta, and she doesn't need gold right now. They'll talk about it in the back and not in front of all these idiots, referring to the fans. And we get a video package promoting Mystico at MLW Superfight 4. Dombrowski promotes the match between Mystico and Averno on the Superfight card. And from there, we are shown Selena De La Renta counting money and walking behind MLW featherweight champion Janai Kai, who absolutely terrifies me. I don't know what it is about her, but that woman scares the bejesus out of me.
I mean, first off, she is a legit fighter.
Yeah.
And just her presence and her look, it is just badass. and I'm not really sure who I would compare her to, character-wise. But I mean, if you're, I really don't know, because I've never really seen a character like her.
Right.
It's one of those things that you could go, oh well, she's a fighter. She's like a Ronda Rousey. No, she isn't.
Nope.
She has her own thing. It's like she's her own woman. She's her own type of wrestler. A lot of submission, a lot of ground and pound.
Yeah.
So she is MMA, but she does it her own way.
Who she reminds me of, and it's not a wrestling person at all, Tong Po from Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, yeah.
That she reminds me a lot of that Kickboxer in that movie. Just not, it's not even 1,000-yard stare, it's like a 5,000-yard stare. And
yeah, she's also sort of reminds me, do you remember the very first Christopher Reeves Superman?
Yes.
When they had the three Zod or Zed, and the three aliens that escaped, the female one that just had that stare and had that look that would just, she just has that far away, I'm looking at you, but I'm looking through you.
Let's see. That was, you're talking of Ursa. Was who was the character that was with General Zod?
Yeah, that basically, I mean, everything's business.
Yeah.
That I'm here. Let's take care of business, and then we leave. That Janai comes to the ring, gets in the ring, does her thing, takes care of business, and walks away. And it's basically, if you want this title, you're going to have to pry it from my dead hands.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. From there, Dombrowski said, "What is it? What is on the agenda for Promociones Dorado?" Then it goes to commercial break. When it comes back, we got Minoru Suzuki is advertised for MLW Intimidation Games on February the 29th.
Yep.
A video replay shows the events leading up to tonight's main event between Satoshi Kojima and Sami Callihan. And then we go to the ring for the next match, which is who we were just talking about a moment ago. Good Brother number 3 versus Steph DeLander.
Yep.
This was something, let me tell you. This one, I wasn't sure what in the hell to expect here. Steph DeLander extended her hand out to shake Good Brother's hand. They shake hands and come close together. Steph DeLander kisses Good Brother and then completes a roll-up for a 2 count. Then after that, they were just kind of like, did that just happen? No, that couldn't have happened. Good Brother is upset and follows Steph outside of the ring. Steph uses a beer can as a weapon. She throws Good Brother back into the ring, or throws Good Brother into the ring barricade. As Good Brother comes back and tosses her into the ring post, Good Brother brings chairs and wooden board into the ring. Good Brother sits Steph DeLander in the chair and grabs a mic. He says Good Brother number 3 would do a little lap dance for Steph DeLander, and Steph appears to be excited. And he starts to dance, but then grabs the mic and says he's sweating. He's going to take off his shirt. Upon taking off his shirt, it appeared to be Mance Warner's gear. We all know that Manser left MLW disgraced and in a hurry. Good Brother number 3 came along and picked up his bag, man. He had to have gear to go out there and help the second gear crews. So,
yep.
You know, they just happened they just happen to be the same size. You know, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Terminator and walks into a bar and sees a guy in leather.
Yeah.
Your clothes will fit type of thing. You know, from there, Steph chops Good Brother and then uses the chair as a weapon. With the chair around his neck, Steph hits Good Brother with a headshot for a near fall. Steph then speared Good Brother number 3 through the table for a near fall. Steph goes to land a bro kick on Good Brother in the corner. However, Good Brother throws a chair at Steph, and Steph comes back and hits Good Brother with a low blow. Steph grabs the mic and told Good Brother, "This isn't us. We don't fight. We love." Aww.
Yep.
Good Brother number 3 took the mic and said Steph DeLander used all his weapons on him. He said he found the one and asked Steph DeLander to marry Manser. But then he stopped himself and said, "Good Brother number 3. And she said, "Yes, everybody." He stated he didn't have a ring, but he would get one. He told her to have a light beer and toast with him. He told Steph to close her eyes, and he took his 2 fingers and poked her right in the damn eye.
Yep.
He then rolled her up to pick up the 3 count. Manser would have been proud of Good Brother number 3, wouldn't he?
Yep.
After that, we get a video promo by Tom Lawler and Josh Bishop. Lawler said they're the actual dream of pro wrestling. Dombrowski promotes Matt Riddle and Alex Kane versus Tom Lawler and Josh Bishop from the WTF as they go to a commercial break. Who isn't Riddle going to tag up with?
Well, it's Riddle and Alex Kane end up tagging.
Right, but before that, he tagged up with the Samoan Werewolf Jacob Fatu.
Fatu, yep.
Are they tagging? Are they putting him in tag matches so he doesn't get booed?
I'm not really sure. The people around me when he came out, I got some good pictures and people were just glad to see him.
Right.
It's one of these things. I think it's we may not like what you did in the past, but you were part of MLW's past, so we're giving you.
You did good business first, so we're going to do some business for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that I'm not sure if he's there full time, but they're going to do some big matches with him. And if he can help put some people over, that's a good thing. And everybody.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly there with you. Matthew Underwood asked MLW, what's their network situation these days? I only watch YouTube stuff.
Yeah. Just YouTube every Thursday, I believe.
Yep.
And they have a roughly about an hour show.
Yeah.
So it goes really quick, and I like the production. From being there live and seeing them do the tapings and pay-per-views, it goes quick.
Yeah, it does.
4 or 5 hours being there, it's almost nonstop. So when they do the tapings, they'll do like an hour before. Then they have a pay-per-view, whether it be on Fight, Triller, or BN Sports.
Yeah.
Then they'll wrap things up and do either like 2 or 3 matches after the pay-per-view. And then they use those for either the Reload or for the Fusion TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it just, like I've said before, it's a buffet of wrestling. Take what you like, but it's one of these things that they have all these different styles, and I don't believe I've seen like hardcore matches back to back.
Right.
That basically they'll mix it up. So there's a high flyer match. There's a lucha style. There's a hardcore match. There's a women's match. There's this. And I mean, like with the intergender, Good Brother 3, quote unquote, a friend of Manser, that match, I was thinking, okay, I'm not really into intergender matches, but they did just enough to get by to
Right.
make it fun. That they weren't taking it serious. They were having fun, and it's a wink and a nod of, oh, don't know who Mr. America is, but really wish Hulk Hogan was back here. You know, but you don't. It's one of these things that they do a good job of having hardcore matches. Being in Philadelphia, they do a good all their styles, and they say styles make fights. All these different styles. It's just it's fun. It's a wink and a nod to all types of wrestling. So you're not really tired after the third match of, oh, big 6'5" wrestler number one against good face, this and this. You know what to expect, but also being in Philadelphia, they lean a little more towards the hardcore scene, and Cord is doing a good job of keeping that fine line that they'll do ECW stuff and people will chant ECW, but it's one of these things of it's a tribute. It's in honor of what happened in that building that they do what they do.
Right. From there, let's see. After the break, Dombrowski goes over the upcoming MLW Super Fight card in February. One match advertised as Akira versus Sami Callihan. We're then shown a replay of the match from Kings of the Coliseum, which I need to go back and watch. Event 2 weeks ago between Akira and Ricky Shane Page, where Sami Callihan interfered, costing Akira the match.
Yep.
From there, they went backstage to the backstage area where Akira cut a promo on Callihan. And then we get the next match, which is Jimmy Lloyd versus Ichiban. The match began quickly with Ichiban taking advantage. He hit a flip in between the ropes onto Lloyd outside of the ring. Back in the ring, Ichiban kept control, hitting punches in the corner on Lloyd. Selena De La Renta came out to the ring with Jesus Rodriguez. Rodriguez grabbed Ichiban's leg off of the distraction. Lloyd took control of the match. Lloyd missed a cannonball in the corner and then distracted the referee as Rodriguez grabbed Ichiban's leg again. Lloyd then hit a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Ichiban made a comeback, hitting a missile drop kick and then a code 1 for a near fall, and then went for a suicide dive through the middle ropes, but Lloyd caught him and dropped him to the floor on the outside. Lloyd then set up Ichiban on a ladder, and then he brings another ladder into the ring. He climbed up on the ladder, and Ichiban meets him on top. Rodriguez came in and tried to interfere again, but Ichiban kicked him off, causing him to hit the ladder outside the ring. Ichiban then went to the top turnbuckle and hit his finisher on Lloyd off of the ladder to pick up the 3 count. And after the match, an upset Selena De La Renta, who was on commentary, gave Ichiban the MLW middleweight title match he's been looking for against Rocky Romero at Super Fight 4. Then they went to commercial break. And when they came back, we were to our match with Nao
Kakuta
and Moka Miyamoto. And that was a good match. I enjoyed that match. The Moka Miyamoto versus Kakuta. That was a good, solid match.
I mean, for their style, and you have to remember, they wrestle like that in Japan.
Yeah.
These are the Tokyo Yoshi Pro girls.
Yes.
And it's an international feel. There's some people that when they watch it, they're like, oh, it isn't believable, this and this. Both of these ladies were equal in size and style of wrestling. But it was one of these things that it's just different. It's not move after move after move. They use a little psychology.
Yeah.
And they slow it down just a bit. So it's one of these things that if you ever watch MLW or go see a live show, all these different styles, you just have to take with a grain of salt. If you don't like something you're watching now, in 10 minutes, there'll be something different.
Scroll through Twitter for a couple of moments and then look back up, and whenever you hear music playing, and you'll have an opportunity to see something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing. That is one of the things that MLW does better than pretty much everybody. You're probably not even going to see the same spots.
No.
During a show. If one person does a spot in their match, the likelihood of seeing that spot in another match, even if they're not meaning it to be a spot per se, ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Very rarely ever happens. And that's something that I pay attention to a lot. I look for how many guys, how many talent did the exact same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it happens if you sit down and you actually watch, it happens a lot more than you realize.
Yeah.
And it happens, and you'd be a lot of the bigger names have no problem just doing the exact same thing that happened the match right before.
And I mean, MLW is very good at making adjustments, and when they do the different style of fights, that in my opinion, that's what makes them different. That you don't see the same style, this or this. I mean, I was surprised because when they taped it, it was in a different order, but they had the Yoshi Pro wrestlers, and then at the end, Love Doug came out.
Yep.
And he came out and he's like, I'd like to take you on a date. We'll see where this story goes. But Love Doug is over huge with the crowd.
So over. And I'm so glad he's moved on from Becca.
And I mean, he
value him.
Yeah, he's the ultimate underdog.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's if you know ECW, he's the Mikey Whipwreck.
Exactly.
So they're building him up and they're using other people to build upon this. But when they did the match, it was taped in a different order. But following this match, they then had former featherweight champion Del Miexo come out and face Tiara James.
Yep.
Now, I myself wouldn't have had back-to-back women's matches, but this was such a short match.
Yeah.
And while they were women's matches, they were different styles. You had the Yoshi Pro style, and then you had the American, let's just get down and wrestle.
Yeah.
And good and bad and this and this. But I mean, they're building to something, and they're slowly building Delmy back up. She's a former featherweight champion. And in doing this, Zeta came out with Saint Laurent, and also who was it? Janai Kai and Serena came out.
Yeah.
So they're building up the women's roster nicely. They're not shoving everything down your throat. They're making it mean something. And I mean, I'd say there's maybe 7 or 8 women total on the roster.
Yeah.
But there's just enough to present a different style where they'll have the Yoshi Pro girls wrestle. they'll have their mainstays, and it's one of these things of, I like what they're doing, and I see where they're going, and they're telling a good story getting there. They're not rushing things.
Yeah.
Right now they have former champion, and future champion in my eyes, and they're going to all work together to build up the women's roster. But I mean, it was just, it's baby steps, and that's what they need to do. You don't want to go too fast, and you don't want to have a whole bunch of women all of a sudden show up. I want to keep it where I can follow a storyline week after week after week. And sometimes they intertwine. Other times you can tell a story and it doesn't have to be in the ring. It can just be a backstage segment, an interview segment. But just tell the story. Let it breathe, but tell the story.
And after that, we got the Matt Riddle and Alex Kane versus Tom Lawler and Josh Bishop. And the match started off with Riddle and Lawler. Both men showcased their wrestling and grappling skills. There was a good back and forth action with Riddle eventually making a tag to Kane. Kane hit a belly-to-belly suplex that helped Riddle hit a twisting senton, which I don't think I ever saw him do before.
There's quite a few moves that he incorporates with, depending on what level he's wrestling at.
Yeah.
That more or less, he's still the king of bros, and he's still the quote unquote pothead, but he's a true wrestler / MMA fighter.
Yeah.
So he's willing to do classic moves, MMA moves, incorporate whatever works for them. And I mean, if you saw them do the what was it, the German suplexes, they did it in stereo, and they both get there and they just both pop and get them up and just lay down a German suplex.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, it was so cool. And if you watch it, they sort of look at each other, give a little nod, and then they hit it. But it's not so synchronized that it's, hey, we're going for this move on the count of 3. Let's do this. No, there's a little lagging, but it's a matching move, but it almost looks like it wasn't planned. It's Riddle looks over. Oh, he's grabbing him. Let's do this. We can both do suplexes. Bam, grab him and do the move. It looks good, but it didn't seem, in my eyes, it didn't seem choreographed.
Right.
It's, hey, we both got him in this position. Let's do this and let's win this match.
Yep. And let's see here. Stupid phone. There we go. In the end, Matt Riddle and Alex Kane defeated Lawler and Bishop, with Riddle pinning Bishop, which is honestly how it should have went. Riddle's your guy coming in, and Bishop is basically Lawler's flunky.
Yeah, you got to pay your dues. Plus, they also had a run-in with Richard Holiday.
Yes.
So it's little things like that. A run-in. He's part of the St. Laurent. He's part of WTF. Okay. He went to do his interference and it backfired. But it keeps him in the story, and it keeps the storyline moving along without stealing the thunder of the other guys that were in the match.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see. Chris Drummond says, fuck Matt Riddle. I stand on this.
Okay.
I stand with you. From there, we got our main event with Satoshi Kojima versus Sami Callihan. Before Kojima could get into the ring, though, Sami Callihan jumped him from behind on the entrance ramp, and then Sami started tossing weapons into the ring. Sami went to paper cut Kojima between the fingers.
And I mean that's one of those things that I'm like, what the hell are they doing? And then I'm like, oh, it's more of a mental image if you think about it. It's not I'm hurting him, it's I'm hurting him and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
One of those, it's like getting up in the middle of the night and banging your toe on a chair.
Yeah.
It does more harm than if you would have maybe knocked your knees or ran into a door. It's the little things that make it count. That I'm like, a paper cut. You wouldn't think, oh, that's going to keep somebody from wrestling, but it's one of those things that take you out of the game.
Yeah, it's painful. A paper cut on the webbing.
Oh yeah.
I watched Jackass. I grew up on Jackass. I was a jackass. I saw that on Jackass and was like, oh, that can't be that bad. It's that damn bad. That shit hurts. I'd rather get punched in the face full force than have a paper cut on the webbing of my fingers ever again.
And I mean, it's the little stuff that counts, and you're like, what the hell? Then you realize probably, I'd say 90% of people ever have had a paper cut one way or another.
Yeah.
And it's bad enough that when you do it to yourself, but someone else grabbing your hand and doing it to you, that's downright evil.
Yeah. Yeah. Just pure fucking evil. Yeah, that's a good way to fucking put it. After he paper cuts his fingers, he fish hooks him and then demands the ref call for the bell to start the match. Kojima comes out of the corner with a lariat, which sends Sami out of the ring. Kojima goes to the outside and started to chop Sami. Kojima then sent him into the barricade. Sami avoids a charge from Kojima and then chops Kojima and then hits a Russian leg sweep onto a barricade. Back in the ring, Sami looked for a count-out win, but Kojima beat the count. Sami was in control of the match while working the crowd. Kojima attempted a comeback with chops, and then Kojima headed up to the top rope, but Sami grabbed him and hits the Death Valley driver for a 2 count. Sami then went for the cactus pile driver, but Kojima blocked it. They traded strikes and then spit at each other, which was gross.
Yeah.
But then Kojima hits a DDT on Sami and then tries for a Koji cutter, but Sami counters with a suplex. Sami hits some clotheslines that did not affect Kojima at all, who then hits a Koji cutter. Sami fights his way up and flips off Kojima just before Kojima hits the lariat on him for a near fall. Kojima then hits the second, more vicious lariat to put Sami away for the 3 count. After the match, Kojima took the mic and tells the crowd he closed with, "I love bread. Thank you very much." Just sheer joy for bread.
Yeah, it's just it's nonsense, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, cool. He likes bread. Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah.
He just gets a smile. And I mean, it's just there's certain things that you're like, I always say, make it make sense. Well, this doesn't make sense, but it's so funny that it doesn't matter to me. It's just it's so out there.
Yeah.
That I'm like, it really has nothing to do with wrestling at all.
At all.
But he's out there throwing bagels at the crowd and rolls, and he's like, and people are just chanting bread. And I'm like, wow. It's one of those things that you're like, okay, this is cool. It's different. It's something you don't see all the time, so appreciate it. And I mean,
I want a Kojima shirt with him just holding a loaf of bread and smiling. No, just because of that. It like you said, it's nonsensical. It has nothing to do with wrestling at all, but it's working.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd absolutely loved it. But that closes out Reload for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you watch all the way through?
No, I did not.
Okay, if you want to go back after they're doing the chanting and all, they're like, okay, Kojima is going to be facing Alex Kane next month at Super Fight. Let's check in with our champion. And they go back and it's Mr. Thomas.
Oh.
With Alex Kane. But as they're heading back there, a Contra emblem flashes. So it's one of these things of, as the show is closing, what's up with this? There's really no Contra members left, but who's coming back? I mean, Fatu was part of Contra, but I mean, right now they have all these groups. They have the Calling, they have WTF, they have the Boomaye Fight Club.
Promociones
coming back.
Dorado.
I have no idea who's returning, but I looked up. Contra started in 2019 at Super Fight.
Yeah.
So we're coming up. It's 5 years. So I'm looking for something to happen at Super Fight. I'm hoping it's not the man who shall not be spoken of in reference to the Sheik, the old Sheik.
MIL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one of these things of, I'm not sure who they bring back or who they could bring in to form a new Contra. But Mads Kruger loved him.
The last time that we saw Contra was whenever he got blown up, wasn't it?
Yep.
So
he's been gone a while. So
that'd be enough time for all those burns to heal up for sure.
Maybe he returns and has a couple people with him. And
does he bring Brittany with him?
So I have no idea. I mean, this is one of those. I really have no idea who is returning, or if it's just going to be a returning manager that starts a new Contra. Because I mean, gang warfare. You have all these groups that have 3, 4, 5 people in them. Let's build them up, have some established people, have some newcomers, and that's how stars make stars.
100%. From here, we're going to go to a segment we like to call I Respect You, Booker Man, with Dave Scooby. And this week, he will be talking about how will the NWA title changes work in a post-pay-per-view world.
Oh. That was last week. I'm be talking about the debut episode of Power.
Okay. All righty. Thank you.
Now,
just reading from the format.
Yeah.
The
Paranoia tapings took place on the 13th, so we're a couple weeks almost removed from that.
Yep.
But they had EC3 and Cardona with the ultimate match of death. I'm not sure how extreme and how bloody it got, but I did hear it was a very hard physical match.
Yeah.
And EC3 even had to back out of a couple matches.
Yep.
Due to injuries sustained in the match. And whether that is kayfabe and they're just running with it, that I was too beat up, I can understand both of those guys wanting to make a good, intense match. And with this, with both EC3 and Cardona, I'd have this as your kickoff debut, have this as the very first match.
Yeah. Yeah.
That with no quote unquote pay-per-views, you're going to have title belts defended at any events and possible tapings that they have. And if there's going to be a title change, you're just going to have to deal with it and hopefully see it within a week.
Yeah.
If they're smart. But I mean, you'd have title recognition, a defense of the 10 pounds of gold, name recognition, and any new viewers would be able to see who your current champ is and what the storyline is going forward. Now, I'm not sure about, like I said, how bloody it was, but being that it's on the app, it may be a little more safe being on an app rather than being on regulated CW TV or even shown on YouTube. But we'll see. I would do that. I'd have your champion and Matt Cardona, who has made a name for himself over the last couple years. He's a recognized name, so give him a shot. Secondly, there was a 6-woman tag match with the special stipulation that whoever secures the pinfall or submission victory, they'll earn a shot at the World's Women's Championship down the line. And hopefully that will be at Hard Times coming up May 2nd, I believe, in Alabama. Now, of the women that wrestled, you had Natalia Markova, Taylor Rising, and Ruthie J on one side. You had Miss Star, CJ, and Missa Kate teaming on the other. Now, all of these women have wrestled at least for the past 9 months to a year, if not longer, for the NWA. But Missa Kate and CJ are the only women that haven't wrestled for the Burke yet. Or we could see, if Markova gets the win, the start of her push towards the title belt. Because right now, all of your champions that have won besides your U.S. tag titles, all of them have held the belts for over 150 days. So they're coming up on, in the next month, they're coming up on 6 months as champion. So we'll see what goes, that if there are any changes coming up at Hard Times, or if they push it to the next one. And if my understanding is right, their quote unquote pay-per-views aren't happening as of yet. That all these events that they're having are being taped, are being taped for CW. Plus, they're also having tapings done in studio to keep the storylines going out of these events. So we'll see what happens. But I'd feature these women because the next step after this match is a shot at the Burke. Then I'd also have, depending on how long the match is, and if they're going to go with 45 minutes to an hour, plus if there are any commercials put in, I'd have your national heavyweight champion Silas Mason, the Thrillbilly, go up against Burchell. You're pushing your champion, plus maybe have a Southern Six promo after the match or before the match, pushing what the Southern Six is going to do once they start Power on CW. So everything is a social media hype thing for the debut of Power on CW on the app. And lastly, even though it's not the championship, it's not the 10 pounds of gold, I would have, being that this is their first quote unquote CW episode, it's not CW Network, the television, but it's the CW app, which is as close to television as possible. I'd have the World Television Championship and the Women's Television Championship unification match. And that's Maxie Impaler with Father James Mitchell going against Mims. Now down the line, whoever, whether it's Max or Mims, whoever the TV champion is, needs to be featured each and every week on Power. Whether it be a promo, if they're in the booth watching a qualifying match, or actually defending the belt. If they're, have them come out, talk with Kyle, or come out and sit in with Joe, wrestle, whatever needs to be done to up that title. I haven't looked for spoilers, so I myself personally don't know. I want to be surprised, so I'm staying away from the spoilers. But those are the matches I would have that took place at the Paranoia Signature Live event. And like I had said before, I'd also maybe do a Control Center segment. It doesn't have to be long, 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes. If you use video or packages, however you want to do it, but use that to highlight all your champions so people tuning in will automatically know. They'll know that Kenzie Page is your women's world champion. They'll know that Pretty Empowered are the tag champs. They'll know the Immortals are the US champs. So just give a quick update of who your champions are, who the top contenders are. It used to be back in the day when you'd get the magazines, top 10 contenders or top 5. I'd drop it to maybe your top 2. Hey, here's your US champions, your US tag team champions, the Immortals. The top contenders are the Fixers and Talos and Daisy Kill. Or the Brothers of Funstruction. Or, hey, tune in next week. We'll have a contenders match to see who goes up against so-and-so. All these matches are taped. Nothing is live unless they choose to do a live show. So, being that the matches are taped, push the matches for the next episode. You don't have to say exactly it's so-and-so, wrestler A versus wrestler B, but you can say, hey, coming up, we'll have our women tag champs in action. Plus, we'll have the U.S. tag champs, and we'll have our junior heavyweight champion in action. Plus, we'll take a look at newcomer, I don't know, Ruthie J.
Yeah.
But use these shows to highlight who your talent is. Do the Control Center. If need be, do a little, I don't know, hype video, 60 seconds with a NWA champion, 60 seconds with a NWA contender, 60 seconds with a NWA newcomer. Hi, we're the Killer Bees. You'll see us in 2 weeks facing Pretty Empowered. Blah, blah, blah. I'm so-and-so. I'm so-and-so. We're the Killer Bees. Check us out will be on NWA Power right here on the CW app. Boom. It's done.
Yep.
It's little things that can be used in the shows,
Yeah.
plus on your social media. Everything has to connect the dots. And that's, I'm just hoping they do their best. And in my heart, I feel bad for the NWA fam that are outside of the US. I feel bad for Fee. I feel bad for Dodie. I mean, Roscoe. I'm sure Roscoe can find a way to watch it, but it's one of these things of, let's make everything on the level. Let's give everybody the same chance.
Yeah.
I don't feel right that if Tim is going to watch, he has to pay for a VPN while I sit and watch it for free.
Right.
Granted, nothing is really free when you think about it, but you're still paying for cable. You're still paying for a VPN. You're paying for this. You're paying for an app, or even though it is free, you pay for your phone. So if you download it to your phone, while it's still free, it's on something that's paid for.
Right.
And I mean, I feel bad for everybody outside of the US that isn't able to watch it. And I just feel guilty that I'm able to watch it and they're not. But I'm hoping that they just rectify this as soon as possible. It's just it's something that just needs to be done. This would be goodwill towards everybody.
Oh, wow. What would Luthess do? Welcome, sir. Has said, I've decided not to watch until we all can.
Wow.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome, Lou. That's fucking awesome, bro. like Tim said, fucking love you, Lou. That's awesome, bro. Yeah. We stand with our NWA Worldwide fam. Yeah. I do believe I will probably do the same thing. Because I don't. We talk about the NWA every single week.
Mm-hmm.
We get on here and we talk for at least an hour and 20 minutes, if not longer.
Yeah.
As a collective, the Alliance produces more content per week pertaining to the NWA
than
the NWA puts out.
Yep.
If that doesn't right there tell you that we're fully invested in this shit. Like, we want you guys to succeed. We want the NWA to succeed. But ostracizing the entire rest of the world, that's not how you succeed at anything other than successfully tanking any goodwill that you had with those people. Because these are people that hung on through the shutdown on the pandemic because you lost a ton of people. And you know you did. You know you did.
Definitely.
And you're just get a VPN, guys. I mean, come on. Think about your personal security online and everything. I don't need a sales pitch. I just want my friends to be able to watch their show for free, the way that we get to. You know, they shouldn't have to pay for a service to make a program think that they're someplace else to watch a free product. That's bad business. Bad form.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your I respect you, Booker Man segment. As I say all the time, Billy, you would not be wasting any money at all. It would open up so much free time for you, and you'd have a much better product if you just hired Dave Scooby to do your booking. I know you're watching, guy. I know your bald ass is watching. Pay this man.
I appreciate it.
Moving on. Now we'll go to my segment, Championship Wrestling from Moi.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
The following is a presentation of the United Wrestling Network.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
That's me. So I don't have any matches of the week again. But what I am going to do is let you in on the fact that to answer Jay's question from earlier, we got the Red Carpet Rumble this past Saturday. And we also had a taping that happened on the 14th, 10 days ago. And we got to see Danny Limelight face Pretty Peter Avalon for the United World Championship title. Willie Mack versus Will all damn day, all day. Sure, that was a banger of a match. Zicky Dice was in action. I'm not sure who he went up against. We had the UWN World TV Champion Jack Banning defended his title. Not sure against who. Jordan Cruz faced off against Judiz, and right before the break, Judiz and Jordan Cruz had just started a program with each other, so it's good to see that they picked that up right where it left off. We had UWN Tag Team Champion Che Cabrera versus former UWN Tag Team Champion of Beef Candy, Flex McCallion. We saw J-Rod, Savannah Stone, and Zyra in action for the women's division. We got Evan Daniels versus friend of the Alliance, Mikey O'Shea. And we saw the UWN debut of Buck Skinner. No idea who he is, but with the name Buck Skinner, sounds like it could be kind of hunting related. I don't know. I'm just pulling that out my ass. And then in the ring, we also saw the in-ring return of Levi Shapiro teaming with Wild West. I don't know who Wild West is either. I'm excited to find out who that is. And we also got Dylan Bostic in action. So I'm looking forward to what the UWN has to offer in the coming weeks. Let's see. J. Cal says it was banger after banger after banger after banger. And he also says that Judiz versus Jordan Cruz was fire. And with those two in the ring, I do not doubt it at all. I know that pretty much every match that I've seen with them facing someone else, they've always been the bright spot of the match and the shining light. So to see those two actually face off together in the ring, that's one that I'm really, really excited to see, because I had gotten fully invested into that story that they had started. They did a nice slow burn build with it, and once it finally popped off, but then unfortunately CarShield said, we got to go, and took their ball and ran, so kind of left Mr. Marquez in the lurch. But like I said, they will be returning in a few weeks on YouTube, on the Memphis Wrestling YouTube channel. Memphis held their Grind City Rumble this past week, so while if you're looking for a Red Carpet Rumble, substitute that for the Grind City Rumble. Nowhere near as good, but hey, it's wrestling. You'll get to see a rumble of sorts. And as always, if you're not watching the UWN and all of its affiliated products, may your quiche be watery. I don't like quiche. I don't like quiche. Well, sir, we have come to the end of our format for today. I'm going to, let's see, go over here to this and pull up our social medias. And while I've got that up, I am going to pitch that tomorrow night at, 5 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific?
Other way around.
The other way around. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Jay will be back with the Alliance guys and DKM and Jaden. I don't know what they'll be talking about tomorrow, but I'm sure that they'll have something to talk about. And then, as always, every Tuesday, the hour before Power, Too Sweet to Be Sour Daddy.
Yep.
Get J Cal coming in with the topics and talking about all things NWA. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Let's see here. There we go. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for the Alliance guys with J Cal, DKM, and Jaden. And every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for the pre-party before Power with J Cal. And as always, tell your friends. Let them know what we're doing over here. The channel's constantly growing. I think we're sitting at over 3,000. I think, what is it now? 3,300 subscribers? 3,400?
I believe so.
Let's see here. Let's pull this up real quick.
3.18.
Ooh, okay. So we're almost 3,200 subscribers. Help us get to $4,000.
Yep.
Might show a little leg if we get to $4,000. But you can find the Alliance Wrestling at the Alliance blog on all the social medias. Dave, where can they find you, sir?
They can find me at Dave Scooby on Instagram and Twitter X, and over on TikTok at Dave Scooby, followed by the number 1.
All right. And you can find our co-host and pod, our brother in crime, Tim Wood, at the Alliance Gold on all the social medias. And you can find me at HJWOTS on Twitter and at Championship Wrestling at Championship Wrestling Jeremy over on Threads and Blue Sky and whatever in the hell else. We thank you all for joining in this week and hanging out with us. We appreciate your support as always. I want to ask Jay real quick, whose name was I supposed to fucking say? I saw that a couple of times. Say his name. Say his fucking name. There was that. And then that. The only name that I know to say that when somebody said that, what, Heisenberg? But I don't see how that fits in with our program. But anyways, I thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week on same bat time, same bat channel to do it all over again. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches.